Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Tabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a show that I believe is going to spark a lot of conversation in the comment section. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Charles Tabansi. My handle CTABANZ. Also, make sure you follow Dreamerspro. The handle is Dreamerspro, name of the channel, and also check out the Dreamerspro podcast that we have pinned in the comment section below. Anyway, let me get into this topic right here. Today's Saturday, as you guys know, and prior to producing this show, us here at Dreamerspro, we were getting ready to throw up our hands in the sky and say, "Bro, there's nothing to talk about. We're going to talk about that one video." Today that we got, I'm sure, depending on when you guys see these shows, and then we're gonna call it a day. Like, there's nothing to talk about. So right before, like maybe 10 minutes before we started shooting, I came across an article from the Sports Rush, and in this article, it had a very, very interesting headline, which essentially was centered on some comments that a former Toronto Raptor had to make about Kevin Durant in the 2019 NBA Finals, about how something about game planning for KD. And I was like, okay, what's this? So I click on the article and I start to read through it. And then I get to the part where there's a video. And in this video, the teammate was Danny Green. As you guys know, Danny Green was a former Spur, former Toronto Raptor, former Laker. I don't know what team he's playing for now, but he's a multiple-time champion, three-point guy, 3-and-D guy, right? So I click on the video. And in the video, you can hear Danny Green basically talking about what it was like to game plan for KD when he was in the roster versus game planning without KD. And he seemed to suggest that it was easier to game plan for the Warriors when Kevin Durant was on, when he was playing on the team, which is very, very interesting because the way the Warriors were described, they were described as like, the dream team or something in the NBA. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what he had to say. It's less than a minute or so. And then we'll come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Danny Green had to say here.
We wanted to play them healthy, but that doesn't always happen.
What did the mindset go to when you found out K was coming back?
KD?
Yeah.
I was like, shit, hell yeah. Like, this is what we want.
This is what we want. Because you don't want it to be like, no excuses with it. You know what I'm saying?
This is what we want. Mind you, I'm not saying they played better without him. I felt they played different, and it was harder to scout for him. It's just more continuity. Harder to scout. With him, it's like, there's going to be some point in the time where the ball is going to stop moving. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could focus on an area. It's not like shit, I got to run around, chase Steph, Clay, Draymond, Zaza sitting the screen. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It was like, all right, still hard to guard. KD's hard to guard, but it's like, all right, I'm not running around. I know where this is going. I can predict where it's going. Maybe we can stop this. They're going to give it to him in the mid post or something. He's going to make a one-on-one move. They're going to do this some part of the game to where we can predict that and throw something at them.
So you heard what Danny Green had to say there. So what are my thoughts on what he had to say? I'm sure when some people heard that, or maybe let me say the vast majority of people that heard what he had to say, I'm sure a lot of them were like, oh, it's cap, he capping. Why would they say this? Because the Warriors, that particular roster, especially that 2017 and onwards team, historically, a lot of people think that is the greatest amalgamation of talent on an NBA team in NBA history. That's what some people believe. They believe that was the most difficult team to beat in an NBA playoff series or in an NBA Finals, and that team was pretty stout. I mean, you have a team that had, before they added KD, you had 73 and 9? I forgot the record was. Warriors team with Stephen Curry, unanimous MVP, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. You got Steve Kerr, Sean Livingston. I think Andre Iguodala was on that team. What's the guy's name? Bogart? No, not Zaza Pachulia. All of these different Bogut. I think he was on that team if I'm not mistaken. They had all of these guys playing on that team, right? Very, very good team. And then the very next season, after losing to the LeBron and the Cavs, they now come back the next season and then add Kevin Durant in free agency to the roster, a move that at the time broke the internet. And at the time, a lot of people felt like this team was absolutely unbeatable. And in the NBA Finals, they looked that way, at least for the first 2 years that they played together. But then what happened? Something happened in 2019. That season, 2018-2019 season, that season, the Warriors ended up having a different opponent in the NBA Finals, and that team was the Toronto Raptors that was led by Kawhi Leonard. Now, what was interesting, that year, Kawhi only played for 60 of the 82 games that season, and because he was coming off of an injury while he was a Toronto Raptor, when he was a San Antonio Spur, so he only played that amount of games, and that team was coming off of some very painful losses, especially the loss that they suffered to LeBron's Cavs after getting swept in the Eastern Conference Finals in an absolutely embarrassing fashion as they absolutely and totally collapsed. The only major difference on that roster that year was the addition of Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green and swapping out DeMar DeRozan, and I forgot the other player that they moved him for to make that deal happen. So they come into that season, and going into the playoffs, no one was really betting on the Toronto Raptors. As a matter of fact, a lot of people that are now saying that the Raptors got lucky were the same people picking against the Raptors from round 2 onwards. The Stephen A. Smith, the Paul Pierce, a lot of them picked against the Raptors in round 2 against the Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Sixers. They beat them. Then a lot of them were picking them to lose, especially after they went down 0-2 to the Milwaukee Bucks. They picked them to lose that series. They won. And then what happened? See, these people are full of you-know-what. Going into the finals, I remember when those guys were making their finals predictions, and almost all of them, including Stephen A. Smith, all picked the Warriors to beat the Raptors. Now, here's the kicker. This is the stupidity of these people. They picked the Raptors to lose even without KD. This is the stupidity and disingenuousness of these people. They picked the Raptors to lose with or without Kevin Durant. But what has been the talking point ever since that championship? Kawhi Leonard and these guys would have never won that championship had there been a healthy Kevin Durant. And now is the time I'm going to destroy you guys with some facts. Here are the facts, and I want to state them clearly for you guys so it's understood, so there'll be no misunderstandings about it. Let's look at the regular season record against those two teams in the regular season that year. In the 2020-18, 2020-19 campaign, the Toronto Raptors faced the Warriors 2 times. As you guys know, 2 teams on various conferences only going to play each other twice. That year, when they faced each other, the first game that they played, the Raptors won that game 113-93. The second game they played each other, the Raptors won that game 128-131. Now, here's the very interesting part about it. Both of those games that they won, Kevin Durant played in both of those games. KD played in both of those games that the Raptors won. He played in game 1. He played in one of those games. He scored, how many points did he score that game? He scored 30 points. The second game, he scored 50 points. That was the game that Kawhi Leonard played. But the kicker is Kawhi only played in one of those games. Let me repeat it once more for the dweebs in the background. Kawhi, of the 2 regular season games that the Raptors played against the Warriors, he played in one of them, and the Raptors beat the Warriors both times in those games. Now, let's move on to the NBA Finals where they faced each other again. And I want to go game by game. In game 1, the Raptors beat a fully healthy Warriors with the exception of Kevin Durant. They had Stephen Curry, who was there. You had Draymond Green, who was there. You had Klay Thompson, who was there. The Raptors won. Game 2, the Warriors beat the Raptors. Curry was there. Draymond Green was there. Klay Thompson was there. And they beat the Raptors. You see, after game one could say, well, he wasn't there. They were there, and they still beat them. Game 3, Klay Thompson missed game 3 with a hamstring injury that he had suffered 10 days prior to the finals even starting. So he didn't suffer that injury in the NBA Finals. And oh, by the way, they split the first 2 games together. In game 3, the Toronto Raptors won. In game 4, the Raptors won that game. And in that game, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green all played 40-plus minutes. In game 5, that's the game that Kevin Durant returned, and he tore his Achilles in the second quarter or something like that, and he got injured. But in that same game, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green all played 40 minutes each in that game, and they lost to the Raptors. In game 6, Klay Thompson tore his ACL in game 6 of the finals, and the Raptors won that finals. Now, of the 6 games in the finals, Klay Thompson played 4. No, he played 5. He got injured in game 6, so he played 5 out of 6 because he missed 1. But let's just say he played 4 because of game 6 he got injured. And I said KD tore his Achilles in game 5 in the second quarter. Now let's go back to what Danny Green said. He said it was actually easier to game plan with Kevin Durant in the lineup, and I totally understand that because based on the evidence, the Raptors were going to be successful with KD in the lineup anyway. Because whenever they did play with KD in the lineup, they beat them. I'm going off of the evidence that I have. Of the 8 games that those teams faced each other that year, Toronto won 6 out of the 8 games. That's regular season and finals included. Regular season and finals included. Of the 8 games that they played that year, Klay Thompson was available for 6 of them. I'm not even going to count game 6. KD was available for 2.5 of them. Kawhi Leonard was available for 7 of them. Stephen Curry was available for all of those games. Draymond Green was available for all of those games. The fact of the matter is simply this. The Toronto Raptors were a better basketball team that year than the Golden State Warriors. They were the better. Did you know that the Toronto Raptors were the 5th ranked offense in the NBA that season and the 5th ranked defense that season? Did you guys know that? Did you also know that the Warriors were the number 1 ranked offense in the NBA that year, but the 13th ranked defense? So if we're looking at it on balance, the Raptors were the better team. Any way you want to slice it, they were the better team. With this guy, with that guy, without. So to hear Stephen A. Smith say, oh, it's because this person didn't play, he picked them to lose even before KD, even when they knew KD wasn't going to play. So his point goes right in the garbage. And to me, it gives some credence and validity to the points that Danny Green brought up. And if you disagree with him, what basis are you using to disagree with him on? Because based on the evidence and the information that we have, the Raptors were the better team that year. The better team. So to me, that's my argument. So the argument to you guys is simply this. Do you think that if Kevin Durant played that series, the Raptors could have had a chance to win? Or do you think that the Warriors would have swept them? Or do you believe that whether or not KD won or not, played or not, the Raptors were just going to win the championship that year? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.